I work at the African Genetic Biocontrol Consortium. I'm the communications coordinator, but at the same time, I happen to have passion for science communication because I realize this is one of the areas that has a big gap when it comes to between the scientists and the media. My background is in media, which has informed my current passion in science communication. So I will be talking about communicating the uncertainties associated with genetic biocontrol approaches, the role of the consortium, and I will use a paper that the consortium recently published in the Journal of Science Communication to explain some of the gaps, the opportunities, and the needs. So I'll first of all start by talking about I'll first of all start by explaining about SciComm. So the Science Communication Forum that currently sits under the consortium. So the role purpose of the Science Communication Forum is to bridge the gap between science and society using journalists, stakeholders as the vehicle to this. So Science Communication Forum enhances science communication by serving as a strategic nexus for advancing regional science communication. And in this, we have different forums in the different countries. This came through some of the workshops that we have been performing in Arusha, Nigeria, Kenya as well. So Science Communication Forum also brings together diverse stakeholders, researchers, communicators, policymakers as well to share their best practices and innovative tools in genetic biocontrol. The forum also provides a platform to tackle emerging issues in genetic biocontrol and share best practices through regular forums. We've been able to hold a couple of webinars as well to be able to tackle on the specific subject matters with experts in genetic biocontrol. The forum also aligns fragmented outreach initiatives into collaboration and forms collaborations and also cuts this into strategic, scalable knowledge, because we realize that when it comes to genetic biocontrol, we have information in the different areas and the different cadres. So Science Communication Forum brings all these experts together under one umbrella where we can put it all together and share it out to the necessary parties. And also the forum enhances trust in science by translating complex jargon into accessible and actionable insights for stakeholders and the public as well. So I will move on to the recent paper that was published under the Journal of Science Communication. So the title of the paper was Communicating the Uncertainties Associated with Genetic Biocontrol Approaches. And it looked at insights from communicators, science journalists, and also scientists in Africa. This paper will it looked mostly at the strong demand for improved communication skills, both among journalists and scientists. So one of the other key findings was the gaps in investigative reporting and access to credible scientific data. So also the need for more structured resources and expert databases for information on genetic biocontrol technologies. So to start this off, we did a workshop in Kenya, the GMO 101 workshop. That was collaboration between African Genetic Biocontrol Consortium and AFIDEP. So this workshop was done in the year 2023, and it focused on understanding the basic science, field trials, and deployment of genetically modified organisms. So we had participants in, we had journalists, we had scientists. Also, we looked at the gender aspect of the participants present to be able to compile this information. And for this particular workshop, it was done in form of the group work presentations, where journalists were given scenarios to map out key messages where a scientist has released a certain research. So how do they communicate to the community, to the local community, to their grandmother at home? How do they break down this information into scalable and consumable science information for them to understand? So the second methodology that we used to come up with these findings was a pre-conference course on communicating uncertainties associated with emerging biotechnologies. So this course was done in our first global congress in August 2023. And the focus areas of this particular congress was communicating uncertainties in genetic biocontrol. Here we looked at gene drives. And also, additionally, we looked at addressing public discourse gaps through innovative communication strategies. Also, another of the focus areas was to enhance stakeholder engagement with transparent, evidence-based messages. So informed by the GMO 101, we took a different participant profile for this particular one. GMO 101 was basically just done in Kenya. So this one expanded our reach based on the outcomes of GMO 101. So we had 23 science communicators in the room. We also had 5 scientists, and we also included policymakers to help us decipher the different aspects and elements of science communication. So from the 2 workshops, we derived different results, and one of them was the possible interplay between the various stakeholders on involved in genetic biocontrol, with the consortium being at the center of it all. So you find that around the consortium, we have the public, we have the journalists, we have the scientists, and also the policymakers. So we developed a system where we gather information from all these people, and at the end of the day, put it together and coordinate to all these teams to work towards promoting genetic biocontrol solutions. So another one of the results that we discovered was the drivers for engagement, where we realized that journalists and communicators crave for information tools and credible networks to sharpen, or rather to inform, their skills in science coverage and science communication. So amazingly, apart from the journalists, we realized that scientists also seek clearer messaging strategies and more engagement with non-technical audiences. So also, another one of the results was the training impact, where the course boosted participants' knowledge and confidence in science reporting. So there was also a fear about technical jargon and limited expertise when it comes to some of these science communication aspects. So we also realized a result on innovative communication tactics. So there is need for creativity in reaching diverse groups and audiences, and particularly the youth, because the youth, we call them sometimes the microwave generation. So when it comes to how you break down the information, you have to be very innovative in order to, 1, capture them, 2, have the information stick in their minds as well. So from the meetings that we had creative and innovative ways, such as using podcasts. Also, most youths are on their phones, so social media apps. When you do Twitter, you need a very short, precise, and to-the-point messaging to be able to communicate to this group of people. So also there were challenges from the scientist side, where scientists expressed a difficulty in translating complex genetic biocontrol topics into everyday language. And this is where they need to break down their research to the common mwananchi, the common public, and the grandmother back in the village for them to understand this science. So this informed the need for structured mentorship, also on media skills, relationship building with journalists to help break down this science, and also ongoing support to refine this scientific jargon. Apart from the challenges from the scientist side, there's also a challenge from the journalist side, where we realized that there's need for real-time access to subject matter experts and reliable data. Also, the absence of investigative journalism is lacking in most media houses, because most media houses focus on the politics, and you realize that the science is left out and not given enough attention that it requires. We also identified gaps and proposed solutions like creating science desks in the newsroom, as opposed to just the political desks. So this was informed by the fact that we have a lot of fake news when it comes to science that is going out there, and the information is fragmented and not all together. So there's need for continuous training and also accessible scientific briefings. We normally have press briefings, but rarely some of these or most of these on science. So this also is a gap that needs to be filled. We need to have more press briefings on science, scientific research, and also frequent media scientist engagement was one of the asks from the journalists as well. So moving on to the next slide. Cyrus, please tap the next one. So moving on to the next slide, where I'll talk about some of the opportunities that came from the JCOM paper. So expanding capacity through training. So this already we can see through the structured workshops that the consortium has been conducting. We started with the GMO 101. After that, we did the communication pre-Congress course during the first global Congress, which informed more gaps in the various countries, leading us to have a workshop for communicators, editors, and scientists in Arusha. This also expanded to West Africa, where we realized there's also a gap, especially in the French-speaking countries. And we need to do more science communication and build, just beyond networks, we need to build chapters that will cement science communication and bridge the gap in these countries, bringing the collaboration between scientists and journalists, and also building a pipeline of accurate and compelling science coverage. So also engaging local youth and audiences. So this is an opportunity where we can use technology to reach to the youth through their ways of how they like communication. I mentioned podcasts before. There are also mobile apps, social media campaigns. How do we need to reach the youth to communicate, to break down the science to them? Also local language broadcasting and community forums to help dispel the myths and address some of the cultural contexts that come up when it comes to science. So also strengthening partnerships. So there is need for closer ties between researchers, journalists, policymakers, and communities to create a feedback loop of communication and trust, because when it comes to science, unfortunately, there's a lot of mistrust and a lot of myths when it comes to the community, the society, especially on subject matters like GMOs. So how do we break it down to make them understand that these technologies are not bad, but you need to understand where they're coming from. So also joint events, open labs, and policy briefings to foster transparency, enable proactive dialogues, other than just reactive debates. So it needs to be more of communication and not just exchanging words at each other like we have been seeing in forums between journalists and scientists as well. So there's also a need to leverage on data and research. So there's a need to create a database of experts, which the consortium has been doing since after the initiation of all these forums. So with every workshop that the consortium holds, we come up with a database of experts from the different countries who are able to help us. So sometimes we have scientists, we have journalists reach out to us and they want to know which scientist should I reach to write my publication and get the right information. So such databases are important. Also coming up with FAQs that will break down or explain the science better to the public is also very important. So there's also need for ongoing research updates that help maintain public interest and high progress in addressing issues. when it comes to genetic biocontrol. So when it comes to SciComm, what is the next vision? How do we move forward? So we plan on collaborative or continued collaborations. So Cyrus had mentioned previously about the focus on journalists, science communicators, but there is need to also have scientists be part of the Science Communication Forum, because as much as we are training the journalists how to break down the science, the scientists also need to know how to break down this science to communicate to the journalists and to the publics. Also, establishment of country chapters. So Science Communication Forum has so far been working towards establishing the chapters in different countries. So we started with Kenya. So after Kenya, we managed to go to Nigeria as well. And just recently, our new addition is Zambia. So we want to form the different country chapters in the different countries, whereby we bring together the journalists, the science, the editors, the science communicators to be able to help in communicating and breaking down the science. Also conducting science communication among more scientists and researcher forums. So we have so far been doing this through webinars. And our webinars are normally every quarter. So they help a lot because we have, we normally invite scientists to break down the topics. So for every webinar, we have a scientist, also we have a journalist. And we do a survey after every webinar to see how impactful it has been. Yeah, and so we call on anyone who wants to join the Science Communication Forum. I will put a link in the groups so that we can have people register, join, tell us what it is that you want to benefit or gain from the forum. I'll also put forward a link of the paper that was published by the consortium in the Journal of Science Communication. Yes, so please get to read it and get more insights, basically, on science communication, what we have been doing, and how you can be part of it. Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you for listening.